to get started. First, I just have to say, I've always thought this was the coolest group around, but now I have to say you are the most patient and the coolest group around. Round of applause for you.
Yes.
To everybody for your patience and support. How interesting, because tonight is a very special night on You Can Do It. During this pandemic, our patience and support is very, very important, just like you've shown me in just in the last few minutes when I was freaking out. You guys were so great and took care of me.
There we go.
So, tonight we have a very special guest to help us talk about a topic that is very important. So first, let me just say shout out to Jason, thank you. Thank you always to Donna Limerick, our creative consultant. And my gratitude always to the two greatest co-hosts ever, Adam Hayes and Terrell Limerick. Welcome everybody to You Can Do It. Tonight, we're going to talk with Amy Sheff Neuman. She's a local psychotherapist, a play therapist, an incredible actor, singer, director. She's a mom, and she's a very dear friend. So ladies and gentlemen, I know you've shown her a great warmth. Let's give a round of applause to Amy for being here with us.
Yay!
Thank you, everyone.
So Amy, let's just jump right in. If you can talk to us a little bit about the idea of some of the just loneliness or isolation, just not feeling connected that we might be feeling during this pandemic, and some of the things maybe that we might think about doing to support ourselves.
Well, Nick, you said it so well. What's been so tricky about this pandemic, there have been many things tricky about the pandemic, but in terms of all of us being at home, is that when we're not going out, when we're not doing our sports and our activities, when we're not going bowling and going to the movies and going to work or social clubs, we don't see our people. And without our people, it's really, really easy to be isolated. Even if you're living with a roommate, even if you're living at home with your family, our worlds tend to feel really small because we're not connecting with other people. And if we are, we're not connecting doing things we love. So we're not working on a project together. We're not putting on a show together. We're not playing a sport on a team together. So we don't get that sense of cooperation and connection. And the other piece that I think is so tricky right now, and I've talked about this with so many of the people that I work with, is people have said to me, Amy, there's nothing to look forward to, which is why You Can Do It is so wonderful, because it's something to look forward to every week. Because a lot of our things, our birthday parties or our vacations, a lot of those things have gone away for people. And I think it's so important to connect to people always. I really believe that human beings are made to connect. We are not made to live in isolation. And a lot of our best memories, if you think about like the best times you've had in your life, I bet you were with other people during those times. And so it's so important for our heart, for our soul, for our brains. It's so important to connect to each other. And it's really tricky during this pandemic. But there is good news. The good news is that you are brilliant, creative people, and there are ways to do it. We just have to think outside of the box a little bit. Thanks, Melissa, for being with me on that. You're right, Abigail, that people have to stick together. When we were cavemen and women, or when we were early settlers, we had to stick together for survival. And now we still need to stick together. We just might not be able to be in the same room with each other when we're doing it. But it is so important for our mental health when we're isolated. The more isolated we get, the more easy it is to become down or even depressed, because we miss people and we miss doing things. So it's so important to reach out. It makes you happier. It makes you more energized. It makes you look forward and really have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. So let's talk about some ways to reach out. So you're doing it right now. So we have all these ways to reach out now through the computer. I don't know what we would have done if this pandemic happened 40 years ago. Thank goodness we now have computers, we have cell phones, we have FaceTime and Google Meets and Zoom and just a ton of other programs. So when I talk about connecting, I often think about having a conversation, right? When I see Nicolette or Terrell, who I have known for years and love dearly, the first thing I'm going to do is give them a hug. Or I'm going to say, hi, let's catch up. How's your family? What are you doing? So I can't do that right now. But there are things I can do. So I can call. I can send a text. I can send a video. Do you know that there are some apps out there that are just designed to help you send videos back and forth to friends? There's one that I love called Marco Polo. And it basically just lets you make videos and you can send them all over the world for free through your Wi-Fi. I know that I lived in Australia last year, so I know all the apps that you can do for free with people across the world. And so what's been fun and exciting about having to switch to online, all of us all at the same time, is we've come up with some really creative ways to do things. So I don't know, I'm gonna take my screen, I'm on, there we go. I'm gonna put myself on gallery view. Can you raise your hand if you have been on a Zoom call with members of your family? A family Zoom, who's done that? All right, so people have done family Zooms. My family does a family Zoom every week. So I'm seeing members in California, family members in California that I normally talk to every month or every couple months, and now I get to talk to them every week. So it's helped me feel more connected with my family. How about, who has anyone Zoomed with friends or done a FaceTime call with friends? Yeah, great way to connect.
Yesterday, you did.
Me, I did yesterday.
You did yesterday, so there you go. Has anyone had a meal over Zoom?
A meal?
Some of you have done that? So I talked to someone today, school is starting, and in Maryland, school actually started today, but in Virginia, it doesn't start till next week. So one thing I learned is that some schools in Virginia are having ice cream socials with the students, but they're doing it through Zoom. So everyone's at their house with their own ice cream and their own toppings, and they're all gonna eat ice cream together in their own houses while they, you know, meet their teachers and meet their classmates. So I thought that's a great idea, right? You can have coffee with someone. You can have an ice cream social. You just have to do it on your computer, which is a little different, but kind of fun.
That's great.
Interesting, Amy.
That's
Terrell?
wonderful, Amy. I love that. Do you have any other, I know that we've got, Adam's got some questions and Terrell's got some questions. Are there other things that we could think about doing? Because these ideas are fabulous. So thank you for that.
I thought of a couple things. So there are ways you can play cards online. You can play Uno. If you Google play Uno online, you can play Uno with a friend online.
Oh my gosh.
You can play, there's an app called Playing Cards where you can play Go Fish or checkers.
Oh.
So you can connect with people. It's what people have been doing with video games for a long time, that, you know, I'm at my house playing, I'm not a video game player, so I'm going to use all the wrong words, but I'm at my house playing my video game and someone's at their house playing together, but we're able to talk while we're doing it. Netflix has an app called Netflix Party where you can watch a movie together and talk about the movie, and you can chat in the app. That's right, you could play bingo, great suggestion. Yep. Bingo's great, right? Because that's a great observation, Melissa, because if you play bingo, you learn the skills of making change, or you learn the skills of any number of things while you're playing. You know, you can also do it the old-fashioned way and forget about all these screens and write somebody a letter.
A letter. Yes, I did.
No.
You've done that, Terrell?
Yes, I send a letter to one of my coworkers, and my coworker sent it back. And she live in DC.
I think that's fantastic. It's so unusual now to get a letter from a pen pal that it's really exciting when someone writes a letter to you.
Yeah, it is.
I wonder if you were going to write a letter, or you were going to, oh, Faith has a great idea. There's also an app called House Party, which you can use to play games with someone as well. Yeah, House Party's got a couple of different games. I've only done it a couple times, but it's pretty easy to use. And some of these things, I'm not the most computer savvy person in the world. So sometimes I might need to say to someone I live with who's better at computers than I am, and sometimes that is my 8-year-old son. Sometimes
She's young.
it might be a
She's
parent
young.
or a counselor. I might say, hey, I heard about this thing called House Party. I don't know how to do it. Can you help me? And normally someone around us knows, because a lot of people are having to figure these things out now.
These are awesome, Amy. Thank you so much. I know, Adam, do you have some questions for Amy?
Yeah, so you kind of already talked about this a little bit, but how has the pandemic affected mental health?
Ooh, that's a really good question, Adam. I think the pandemic has affected mental health greatly. I think for adults, I think for kids, I think for everybody. It's just really hard for everybody. I think we're seeing a lot more people who are depressed, a lot more people who are worried, right? There's been so many unknowns, and it's changed. You know, you can know something is true on Tuesday, and on Wednesday you find out that's all wrong, and now we have different information. And there's a lot of unanswered questions, and that can be really scary for people, and that's a normal response. So if you are feeling worried, or you are feeling, you know, sad or down or bored, just know that that's really normal right now. And that's one of the reasons that connecting is so important. And that's one of the reasons that it's important to speak out and say, like, hey, I'm really struggling, because everyone else is too. It's not just you.
I know I used to belong to an online organization that did a lot of, I could connect with other people that had my kind of illness and all that stuff. So that always helped me when I couldn't go and talk to my friends in person. So
Yeah.
That's why I love having this kind of way to do these kind of things. So
Absolutely.
And my second question is how has, I guess leading into that, how has virtual sessions changed the way you do therapy?
That's a good question. I've got to tell you, Nicolette was saying one of the things that she talked about when she introduced me was that I'm a play therapist. So I do a lot of different work. I do a lot of work with moms who have just had babies or who are about to have babies. And then I do a lot of work using something called play therapy. And play therapy, for those of you who might not know that term.
What does that mean?
What that means, Terrell, good question, is when we're working with kids, and sometimes with adults, play therapy can be great too. Instead of doing talk therapy, where Terrell, you and I would sit on a couch and I would say, hey, Terrell, what's going on? And you would say, well, the thing is, Amy, right? We would communicate using play and using toys and using games and puppets. And I use a lot of theater when I do play therapy, acting things out and role plays. Because when kids are learning, or when kids are dealing with something hard in their life, it's like play is their language and toys are their words.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So we have to talk to them in a way they understand. And
like
I
cats.
think, exactly, it's like cats. And for those of us in the group who have done some performing, we have that playfulness about us too, where we express ourselves with games and with things. And so play therapy works really well for us too. So that's tricky. I wasn't sure, Adam, to answer your question, I wasn't sure how it was going to go over a virtual medium. I'd worked with adults virtually before, but I thought, oh, I don't think we can do this for play therapy with kids.
Right.
And then a pandemic hit and we had to figure it out
Right.
because there are kids and there are adults who need help. And so saying this seems hard is not an option.
Right.
So
No.
we're being really creative. I've done art projects. I've done puppets. Today I was using dinosaurs with someone. They had dinosaurs at their house and I had dinosaurs at my house. So just kind of being creative. And I do sometimes use some of these online apps like the Uno app, or there's one called Scribblo, which is like Pictionary. And it's super easy to use, and you can, somebody draws and somebody else has to guess what they're drawing. So that's another fun way where we can connect and we can interact using toys or using games without being in the same room.
Right. Cool. Thank you.
That's great. That's wonderful, Amy. And Terrell, I know that you've prepared some questions for Amy. Do you want to go ahead and ask Amy your questions? And then we're going to open it up to our group.
All right. Yes. So Amy, tell me this: how can we take care of our brains and feelings during this time? That's hard, right?
That's a tricky question, but a good, important question. So I have something that I love, that I use for myself, that I love to suggest to other people, which is to do a couple quick things every day. One is to notice one thing you're grateful for. Because even when things are difficult, there are things we're grateful for, and remembering those really does help. Two is to make sure you get outside at some point in the day. Even if it's raining, take an umbrella, stand under your front awning, your front stoop, whatever it is, and just get some fresh air. Three is connect to someone somehow. If you can do those three things, be grateful, go outside and connect, then that is taking such good care of yourself every day.
Wow, Amy, that's fabulous.
Wow, that is a great word, Amy. So this is going to be harder, I think. So what can we do to help other feel better, like our family and friends?
What a good question. I don't know, Terrell, in all the talking I've done to people, because I'm in the business of talking to people,
Yes.
No one has ever asked me that question.
No one?
No, and it just speaks to what a kind, caring human you are, that's the question you have.
Yeah, this for you.
Well, it's a good one. So what I think, I always go back to, it's funny, I always go back to that golden rule that I learned growing up, which is I try to treat people the way I want to be treated. So I ask people how they're doing. And if I know someone in my family is having a hard day, then I try to be respectful of that. And I might say, do you need a little space? Or, hey, I'll do that. I might take something off someone's plate for them so they have a little bit less going on when I know they're having a hard day. But I think the best thing we can do to take care of our friends and our family is to check in and ask them how they're doing, and then just to listen.
Listen can go far, can go a lot farther.
That's right. Listening goes a long way. I could not have said it better.
That's a great questions, Terrell and Adam.
Thank
Let's
you.
go ahead. Speaking of listening, let's go ahead. We're going to open it up. I know we've got lots of wonderful questions, Amy. This is such a powerful and important topic, and you guys have made such a wonderfully brave space for everybody. So let's go ahead. Willie, I know that you have a question. Can you take over the Zoom square and ask Amy your question?
Okay, Amy. So here's my question. So who did you look up to the most qualities that you like about that person? Is it your relatives, your family members, your co-workers, or other stuff?
Oh, you guys, these are such good questions. Who do I look up to? Well, I have been asked this question before, and honestly, who I look up to the most in the world right now is probably Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Who I just, what I really appreciate about Michelle Obama is the same thing I appreciate about my favorite mentors growing up, my favorite teachers, my favorite coworkers, my favorite bosses, my favorite family members, and that's that she is brave. She is so kind and compassionate that she can speak her mind without being mean about it. And she always stands up for the little guy and is never disrespectful of anyone, no matter what they look like, what they believe, what their gender is, what their race is, how old they are, whether they have a disability, what their job is. She believes in everyone. And that to me is what makes her such a great role model.
Yes, and one of the things that I love about this person I like was my favorite actress is Drew Barrymore. She has a new talk show that is coming next month on the 14th of September, and I can't wait to watch her show on time. And I also recognize that she was a good actress that I used to saw her on the Johnny Carson show. She used to scream and said, "Ah!" But she was just like acting like a little girl.
That's right.
But
Oh,
that's why I just like her so much, especially I can't wait to see her show.
Absolutely.
Thank
She's
you.
a good example of kind of keeping it real. She's really good at that.
Yeah, she is. She's great. I love Drew Barrymore. Willie, those were awesome. Thank you. We're going to switch now. Thomas has a question. Thomas, you have the Zoom square.
Okay. I'm very lucky working at work with my coworkers every day. You don't have to stay home.
Thomas, where do you work?
White Market.
Oh, well, you know what? You have very lucky coworkers because you appreciate them. I bet it would make them feel really good if you told them what you just told us.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
That's
They
a
will
great
be happy.
example of connecting, Thomas. What a lovely way to connect.
Wow. Thomas, thank you for that. That was beautiful. And a great reminder, Amy, thank you of letting people know that we appreciate them and expressing that. I think, Melissa, you have the Zoom square.
Oh,
Melissa?
there we go. Oh. Okay.
Marissa is here, there.
I'm not Marissa.
Oh, whatever your name is. Go for it.
Melissa. Okay. My friend and I were gonna go over the bridge Wednesday, but we canceled it because my friend was not feeling too good because of the pandemic. We didn't go anywhere on vacation. And what do you do if you like? Do you help people that get lost to someone, like therapy? You lost to someone?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people get a lot of help from therapy when they've lost someone. It really does help
Yeah.
with that because that's a really hard thing to go through.
And it was right after before Mother's Day was coming up, April 21st. My sister was gone, and I didn't get over it yet.
I'm so
I
sorry.
didn't know how to get over it. I saw people wearing their masks, but they keep taking them off and don't put them back on there. So I'd step back away from them so I won't get it
You know, the one thing we didn't talk
at
about,
my work.
yeah, the one thing we didn't talk about with connecting is that some of us may
Yeah.
be going to work. Some of us may be connecting face to face. So let's talk about that for 1 second. Hold on, Claire. I'm getting a prop.
Okay, what is the
Right.
prop?
You know, I'm an actor, so I have to get a prop.
Yes.
So what happens if you've seen me talk? So I use my face a lot, right? But then I do
Yes.
this. And now all of a sudden, you can't see how I'm feeling.
No,
You can't see
can't see anything.
expression, right? So if I
No.
said, what do I feel right now?
Frustrated.
Right. You would have no idea. That's right, Willie, because I'm wearing my mask. So when
Yeah.
we're out and we're wearing our mask, we need to use our voice even more to communicate things with people because they're missing all of this information from our face. And we tell a lot of our story of how we're feeling through our face.
Yes. That's
So when
right.
we're wearing a mask, Melissa, you said something important. It is important that it covers
Yeah.
our nose. It's got to cover our nose. That's important unless we
And
have a
mouth.
reason from a doctor that we shouldn't be wearing a mask. It should cover our nose and our mouth like
Yeah.
this. But when that happens, really all we've got is our eyes to communicate and our voices. So we need to use our voice more to talk and share our feelings with people.
Same
Interesting.
thing with restaurants and shopping centers.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think that that this pandemic must be a nightmare for people that are blind because they can't see where they're going. They can't see if they're getting too close to people.
That's a really, really good observation. Also for people who are deaf or hard of hearing because they can't read lips. when
Yeah.
they're covered. So they have created masks that are clear so people can read lips through the mask. But for a long time, those weren't there and it was very difficult for people who need to be close and need to see lips.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like luckily I can see, but for someone with really blurry vision, or
Yeah.
Mhm.
this is
Yeah.
where American Sign Language comes in handy.
Absolutely.
People that are deaf or hard of hearing. And it's
Yeah.
also useful for people with special needs who have speech problems or cannot talk due to disability. They'll use ASL. It's very
Yeah.
easy to learn. It's pretty easy to learn. In fact, that should be one of the clubs. Learn ASL.
It's a great idea.
That's a great point. Let's go ahead, and I love these questions, you guys. These are so thoughtful, and I'm learning so much, and it's so wonderful to hear everyone connecting and learning from Amy. Do we have some other questions, Jason? Does anybody, because I know that Adam and Terrell have some questions, have additional questions.
No additional questions in the chat at this time, so we can go to
Okay.
Terrell and Adam. So.
Awesome. Terrell, how about you? I know you wanted to ask Amy about what it feels like to be a therapist. Can you ask Amy about that?
Yes, I do. And I have two questions, Amy. All right. The first question is, when you're working, how does it feel? How does it feel to you to make other people feel glad or happy or say I'm going to her again after the whole thing is over with? Huh?
I sure hope that's what people say after they come to see me.
I sure so.
I tell you, Terrell, I have been really, really lucky in my life and my career to have jobs where I feel like I'm doing work that is so meaningful to me, and it just feels like my honor to do it. And that's how I would describe the work I do right now. It feels like I just feel so lucky that people let me into their lives and tell me about things and, you know, kind of trust me with that, especially now when some people are coming to me and they've never met me face to face. So they're meeting me kind of like you guys are through the screen for the first time. So I feel very honored. And, you know, sometimes it's hard because sometimes, you know, people have some hard things they're working through, but it's really, really so worthwhile for me.
All right. The next question is what primes of the primes what you make if it is a prime for you to do what if it is a prime for them to say something, what is it? Is it worrier to you, or worrier to will you help them more, or will you not help them at all?
So let me make sure I've got this right. So when someone says something that surprises me or I think is rude or upsetting, do I keep helping them? It's kind of what you're asking me.
Yes.
Even if it might go so far as to commit a crime and I find out about that?
Right. And then if you say, okay, this class, this session is done. I will see you another day. Bye.
What a good, gosh, you're asking some good questions today, you guys.
Yeah.
So there's I have a two-part answer to your question. One is what I talk about with my clients as a therapist is confidential. So it's just between them and me. So I can't come and tell you guys about what I talk about because it's
what my doctor said to me.
Right. So even if let's pretend that I was Nicolette's therapist, which I'm not. But let's say I'm Nicolette's therapist and Terrell called me and said, "Hey, Amy, so I know you're Nicolette's therapist." I could not even say that I know who Nicolette is unless I had Nicolette's permission. So we take this confidentiality really seriously. But there are very, very special circumstances where we are allowed to break that confidentiality. And by law, we have to tell. And that's if I'm in a session with someone and they say they're thinking of hurting themselves or hurting someone else, or they feel scared that someone's going to hurt them, my number one most important job is to keep people safe. So if I'm worried about someone's safety, then I do have a duty to warn. But otherwise, what we talk about is just between us. And my job is to listen, it's not to judge. So even if you tell me you're doing something that isn't a good choice, then we'll talk about why you made that choice. But it's not my job to say like, ooh, why are you doing that?
Right.
I have a question.
Okay, very quickly, we're going to go because we've got David and then Jason. So yes, go ahead and say your question.
Have you ever had to call 911 or the local emergency number because someone threatens to commit suicide?
So you're right that is something a therapist would do. That again, our job is to keep people safe. So we're very lucky that there are a whole bunch of resources out there, even during a pandemic in our society, to keep people safe. There's your doctor, there's therapists, there's counselors, there's the police, there's the fire department, there's, you know, people who work in hotlines. There's moms and dads and friends. So there's all sorts of people. So I might reach out to a friend and say, hey, you know, I've gotten permission to talk to you, you know, I think, or I might say to my client, I think, you know, the first step is to talk to a friend. Don't be so isolated. Let's get you help and get your village around you.
That's beautiful. Okay, we've got time for 2 more questions. David Godoy, you've got the Zoom Square. Question for Amy. David?
Hello, yes.
Hi,
Um,
David.
my question is, let's close our eyes for one moment and pretend that the pandemic comes to an end. What is the first thing that you will do to tell your clients the good news? So let's close our eyes for one moment and let's pretend that the pandemic is all over done and we don't have to wear a mask anymore, and we can give each other a hug again, and we can give each other a high five again. What is the first thing you do for to tell your clients?
So I'm imagining, David, and as you were saying that, I did close my eyes for a second, and all I could think is the first thing I'll do is hug my mom. But in terms of my clients, I think we would just share that joy together. And we might talk about, it might feel a little weird when all this is over to go back to normal life. We're getting used to being at home and doing Zoom. And, you know, I look at some of my own behaviors and some of the behaviors I'm seeing in people and in kids, and I think, oh, we might really have to focus on things like our social skills and how to have a conversation and some of those things, because when we don't use those skills every day, we forget, oh, the first thing I need to do is look someone in the eye, right? And they don't have a mask, they can see my face, so if I look like this, what does that say to someone? So we might need to kind of retrain and talk about that a little bit.
That was a great question. And David, just the moment of thinking about that just gave me so much joy. So thank you. What a deep and wonderful question. Let's end our questions tonight with our awesome tech guy, Jason, has a really important question, Amy, one that I was going to ask as well. So Jason, you have the Zoom Square.
Oh boy, okay, the pressure is great. Hi, Amy. Thank you again for coming on tonight. Special Olympics is a sports organization at the core, but it's been obviously very difficult to do anything. What is the connection between physical activity and mental health and feeling good?
Oh, what a good question, Jason. So there is a huge connection between moving your body and taking care of your heart. If you're having a hard day, move your body. Whether it's take a walk, whether it's go for a run, shoot some basketball hoops, throw a ball back and forth with a friend. It doesn't matter what the activity is. If you get your heart rate pumping, scientists have done research and it shows that exercise every day or every couple of days is as effective a way to take care of ourselves and treat ourselves for depression as medicine is. It's really profound. I have some clients where I say, you know what, we're going to take a walk, and we do our therapy walking because it helps us to think when we're moving. If we're stuck, have you ever been trying to write something and you just can't get the words? So you do something else and you move your body and all of a sudden, like, boom, that clarity comes to you. So it's so important, even if you're not together, to be working on your own, because there's all sorts of things that you can do to work on your own. Like I'm thinking, you know, of just training, whether it's jumping jacks or, you know, taking a walk or taking a run or lifting weights or, you know, even just finding a wall and pushing against a wall. I don't know if you've ever done wall push-ups. Those are great.
Yeah.
Just to keep your body active. There's all sorts of online things too. My goodness, if you want to find an online workout or an online yoga class, they are there for you. So there's lots of ways to do that from home.
Excellent.
That's a wonderful, and that's a great way to end tonight, because Amy, you have given us in this time together so many things to think about, to implement, and like you were saying, to really move forward by working and staying connected. So let's give Amy a warm round of applause from You Can Do It.
Oh, right back at you guys. Thank you for the wonderful questions.
Oh, and thank you so much for being here. And we would love to have you come back and talk to us. And you've taught us so much. So thank you. And we look forward to seeing you again. And Terrell, do you want to lead us on out? And then we'll go to Adam.
Okay. Amy, thank you for everything you talk about. Come again.
I would love to.
Okay. Closing ceremony is I'm come back in 2 weeks. Come back in 2 weeks. We will be here on Zoom. You can do it. Be there or be square. Yay!
Yay. All right, Adam, last words.
And remember, everyone, bring your ideas and questions. And until next time, stay positive.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Amy Sheff Neuman. And we will see everybody in 2 weeks for another Zoom cast for You Can Do It. Everybody be well, be safe, be connected. Thank you. Good night.
Bye, Nicolette.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Buddy.
Thank you.